The operation against militants holed up or possibly dead in Kathwa's Jatuna forest area is still going on. Yesterday, security forces received information about the presence of these militants, a freshly infiltrated group, and when the police's special operation group, along with contingents from CRPF and Army, zeroed in on the suspected location of these militants who were hiding in these wooded and mountainous area. And when they closed in, there was an encounter, and in the initial contact, after heavy firing, 4 security forces personnel suffered fatal injuries. 7 others were also injured, including 2 from the Army and 1 Deputy Superintendent of Police. Later, it was found that the critically wounded policemen, 4 policemen, had died in the operation. As the night fell, the operation came to a halt, but the bodies of the fallen policemen remained at the spot of the encounter. This morning, security forces, police, army, SOG, and also small contingents of CRPF cautiously and meticulously planned to go near to the site of encounter to retrieve the bodies and also to find if the militants are still there. In yesterday's engagement, according to security forces, 4 policemen died and also at least 3 militants were also killed. However, as the day progressed today on Friday, the pace of operation was slowed down deliberately so that there are no more casualties. The security forces pressed into service aerial surveillance, and through drones it was found, according to security forces, that the bodies of at least 3 militants could be spotted. And throughout the day, security forces maintained a tight siege of the area, and all escape routes of this forested and wooded area, which is in Kathua and also very close to the international border, were completely cordoned off. The local residents also came out, and some of them supported the security forces, providing them refreshment and also food. In the meantime, Jammu Kashmir's Director General of Police, Nalin Prabhat, he is camping in the area overseeing the operation, but the pace of the operation was slowed down deliberately to ensure that there are no more casualties. The injured policemen and those from the army were yesterday rescued, and they were taken to hospital, and most of them are stable. Because of these deaths of these 4 policemen, the security forces are not taking any chances. By afternoon on Friday, the operation was still progressing, but at a slow pace. It remains to be seen how long this operation will continue, but security forces are cautiously trying to reach and at least try to retrieve the bodies of the fallen JK policemen. Because of the deaths of these policemen who belong to different parts of Jammu, a pall of gloom has descended in their native places. Now it remains to be seen whether security forces will conclude this operation and when the final assault will be launched. In the afternoon of the Friday, there was no firing, no fresh firing was reported from the militant sides, which the security forces said suggested that the militants who were engaged in this encounter have been killed. Remember, Kathua has of late become a suspected and vulnerable infiltration routes. Now, security forces and the BSF that is guarding the international border in Kathua have tried to plug in all possible infiltration routes, but security forces suspect that this could be a fresh group that infiltrated or sneaked into Kathua, either through exploiting some gaps or a ravine or a tunnel. Now this encounter follows Sunday's encounter in Sanyal forest in Kathua district, where a woman, her husband and their daughter narrowly escaped from the clutches of militants whom they had taken captive. The militants had taken these 3 people captive, but they narrowly escaped from the clutches of these militants in Sanyal forest. Later, security forces launched an operation. This happened on Sunday. They launched an operation in that area, but the militants could not be traced. However, the security forces were able to find bulletproof vests, magazines of the M4 carbine made in the United States, bulletproof, some eatables, rucksacks, suggesting that the militants had left some of their baggage and escaped. Now security forces are also trying to ascertain whether the group that was involved in the encounter yesterday at Jutana, Rajbagh area of Jutana and Kathua, whether this is the same group that escaped Sanyal siege, or this is a freshly infiltrated group. So because of the fact that in Jammu, Kathua, Rajouri, Poonch, in the last 3 years have witnessed increased infiltration, because of which more than 50 security forces personnel have lost their lives in ambushes and strikes by militants, highly trained militants, most of who, according to security forces, belong to Pakistan. And because of which some new security protocols were employed in these areas. But now with the onset of spring, it seems that a fresh attempt has been made by militants to engage or carry out strikes in Jammu, but security forces are maintaining high vigil and guard in these areas. Remember, last year some civilians were also targeted, especially when a pilgrim bus was targeted that was going from Katra to Shivkhori, in which 9 pilgrims who belonged to different states outside Jammu and Kashmir died, and also the driver and the conductor also were killed, because the driver had lost control and it fell into a gorge. Before the nightfall, security forces finally managed to reach the spot where the bodies of 4 policemen were lying, and those bodies were recovered and brought down. Along with that, security forces also found bodies of at least 2 militants. Remember, the security forces believe that it was a group of 5 militants. Two bodies have been recovered, and perhaps the bodies of other militants could also be scattered around, or maybe they might have managed to flee, leaving behind these 2 bodies. However, the security forces are maintaining a strict vigil, and with this, the recovery of the bodies, both of the militants and of the security forces, this operation has come to an end.